Day 1 of Stab High Japan, presented by Monster Energy, is wrapped, and we've narrowed our field of 60 surfers down to just 24. We had air wind going into the rights all day. Matthias Hurdy's Stab Highway wife is here. Dane Henry showed the judges he can grab twice and once. Competitive comeback. Mikey Wright escaped elimination at the very last second, and 2 of our surfers had a sudden death surf-off. What a day, what a spectacle. This is Poolside, hosted by Kona Big Wave. Of course, unless you've been sleeping under a rock, we are at Stab High, presented by Monster Energy Drink. And what an afternoon. You'll have to speak up. I am wearing a towel. Stace Galbraith in the booth with Coco Ho and Damien Farrenfort. And wowee, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but we did see some special performances from the youngsters there this afternoon. But obviously that highlights package then from, let's call it what it is, some of the fossils absolutely showed some of these grommets what was up today.
I don't know. I take the other stand. I actually think the Grom showed the fossils what's up today.
No way that Mikey Wright's air is not the best air.
It is the best air, bar none. Mikey has been a long way away from the tour. You can't call him fossil. That is an active man. He hangs with the youth. He sucks from the blood of the youth. Are you kidding? Look at who he hangs out with. Huey Vaughan, Lungi Slab. That's his crew. He is drinking the adrenochrome of the children.
Coco Ho, Harry Bryant's 28, Mikey Wright's 28. Do they or do they not fall into fossil category? You've got to be careful, Cradle Snatcher.
Yes, I'm going to say fossil, but a great performance. I mean, Julian, one of the best combos.
For sure.
Scores of the whole day.
Okay, I'll take the other side of this. Jules and Mikey, maybe the best 2 airs of the day, and they came through. But a majority of that field was significantly older than those few young guys.
Absolutely,
and of
they
those
are.
young guys, Dane Henry, Lennox Smith let me down today.
Yes,
he's one of my favorites upcoming Groms. But Huey Vaughan went insane. Raiji Masuda, the Bottle Rockets.
I'm going to let the video do the talking here. We've got a couple of packages lined up, and this is a 50-50 one. Storyline number 1, Julian Wilson and Dane Henry dominate the opening qualifying round, and we are looking at Ian Crane for some reason with a very small stale fish air reverse here. This is highlights package 10-1, I believe, of the qualifying round here. This one snuck in.
Cam Richards, though, and the best part was they had a beer after that, and this kid I'd never heard of, Makana.
Yeah, that's my local boy.
He has been the best in the free serves. Look at Huey Vaughan right there with effortless ease, looking like his brother Joel. And then Timo Simmers stepping out of his sister's shadow.
That was incredible. That's straight air from Timo.
We will see Julian and Dane here at the top of the pile. Talk us through this one, Coco.
Julian went huge on his left and his right. Here's
young Dane with a huge flip. He had a couple of variations of this, and he certainly got it done there on his last attempt. That back angle is absolutely psycho and shows off just how upside down he was. But that's how we got to the semis. Dane Henry had 2 airs. One, he had the double touch. The other one, he had to go back and do that with the single grab, which he obviously did. That must have felt good to prove a few of the judges wrong.
And the funny part about that first one is he had got a 10 in a WSL event for it. And then he couldn't get a score in the Stab High for it because we had Lee Wilson on the decks. And you will all know, if you know anything, if you've ever watched a Stab High in your life, Lee Wilson's not going to score it. He's going to bring your score way down. And he went out and did it again with a single grab, which was insane.
And Coco, we saw it all. We saw flips and grabs and super tech stuff, but then obviously Timo Simmers just with a huge straight air. Pretty nice to look at.
Yeah, that was beautiful. I saw that from the top view up at the cafe, and yeah, it was big. I was above it, and it was still big.
Yeah, well, there's plenty of action. We're going to punch through a few stories here. Storyline number 2 is the sudden death surf-off, which we nearly saw 2 of these. And the judges, as harsh as they are, well, I mean, in the men's, we had this one storyline running, and then obviously it was Mikey that just took the trouncing air here. 49 points.
It doesn't make sense, the air that he did there, and the motion, and look at the angle that he's at here, and the way that he's able to tweak it and turn and come through into it. You're just going to that thinking like, you just praise God, I hope I make this.
And that's what caused the surf off. There was only one spot left after that air. Everyone's looking at that going, that will not be beaten. It might not be beaten for the rest of the weekend. That could be our monster air for this whole event.
That might be the best air and stab I ever done.
It could be. We have to check the tapes on that. But that's what created that crazy tension for the surf off. We had kind of 2 battles of 2 going on. It ended up being Matt Meola and Shane Borland, who had, by your adjudication, one of the worst games of rock, scissors, paper I've ever seen.
It was a
Yes.
2-0. It was a washout, you know. And the funny part is that Matt thought he had won on the first one, and I was like, "No, you got to come back and go again. We're doing this best of 3." So he came back and he just dominated Shane and did it again. And who has more good karma in Japan than Matt Meola?
Yeah, I back it.
It's a mix of both though, because you still got to perform, and perform he did. But Coco, who have been the best under pressure so far? Obviously, Matt's at the top of that pile.
Yeah, Matt for sure. And in the men, I would say, I mean, Mikey's needed a score too, you know, so that was crazy to go that big. That was huge.
So these were the airs that tied them. These two right
Okay,
here.
yeah.
And so they were both obviously pretty cool airs, but both super different, and obviously sparked a lot of opinion. And I mean,
The beauty of the sudden death round was everyone went absolutely big because that's all you could do. The bar was so high to be in the top 2. There's only 2 spots.
Damien, what's happening here?
There's a little bit of So what we want to do is just block all his senses from knowing what's going on. So he went into it, he didn't think, hey, I just need a little air to land it. And he had to take a gamble. He had no idea what Shane had done on the previous wave in it. And Shane almost did
So close.
Wow.
one of the better airs of it. And that's me molesting his ears. And he won on that backside bunny hop. He didn't even need this.
Wow.
I don't reckon his back fin got out of the water. I think he needed this.
You think he did?
I think he needed that, and obviously he
I wish
nailed
it went to review on that.
No, look, I swear to God, his back fin did not get out of the water. But he didn't need it. That air was psycho. He's obviously doing that directly at Lee Wilson. Let's make no
Yep.
bones about that.
Yep.
And it comes in, obviously, with the landing. And, you know, what's a pretty cool air. But for him, it is something that he does have on lock. And we spoke about it earlier, Coco. His career has been full of some crazy highlights in the ocean. And he's got certain airs like that are difficult for 99% of the population. Pretty easy for him to pull out at sudden death. And he absolutely nailed it.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a huge call today. That was the best day of stab high in the history of the event. You know, has it been 7 years now, 6 or 7 years? And that was the best I've ever seen.
1% better every day, Damien. I know that's your sort of motto for life.
No, that's Geordie's motto, not mine. Mine's like 2 feet back, 1 step forward.
Yeah. Coco, what's your motto for life?
Ooh, that's a hard question.
Well, now you're a shaper. Surely there's some philosophical stuff coming through your hands.
Work
with
hard.
The phone.
She's good at telling people what to do. How
She's
to
been good.
shape.
She's been telling me what
That's
to
what
do.
Rails
shapers
little
do.
off. That's
That's
exactly
what
right.
shapers do. So yes, bossing people around.
Okay. You loving that?
Love it.
All right. Well, let's tell the ladybirds what to do. Just kidding. They told us what to do.
They showed us.
They are on fire, and it was super special to watch this poolside. Coco, I'm going to let you take the lead here. What did you love overall? There was lots to love.
Zoe, that was my girl. I was rooting for her, but this one popped me, and that's what the score that tied with Eden Walla, these two right here, put them into the sudden death match. And honestly, I was going for the technicality of that backside air rev, but there's Patty Lou going huge. Lehani, I mean, wow, that first heat went ballistic. And then here's the start of the second heat. Molly just went straight into it, and she kind of stole the show in that heat.
Another question for you. What is your favourite new Australian term? Because you've been on fire. Popped me.
That was very
That's
Aussie.
straight out of the playbook. What else have you been loving? Or conversely, what's Harry been saying that his super
that
brother
I
has?
accidentally took. Well, I mean, you said it earlier, or someone said it earlier. He said that was meat. I think
You said it.
Josiah. I think Josiah.
Yeah, he said it, yeah.
jokingly said a
Yeah.
Harry quote.
And your new nickname is Coco Orc?
No, Baby Orc. But we won't get into that.
I missed that part of the conversation. It's insider joke.
That was it.
Yeah.
That was it. That was
Okay,
it.
well, I'm
Yeah.
going to go... Yeah, we're talking about the Ladybirds, which was... I mean, I've been there since the first Ladybirds, which was incredible, and each one seems to better the last. The camaraderie between the girls is just... It's something else. Like, they're genuinely happy for one another when they do a bigger error and they might be getting put out or going into the... You know, they're not going to pass through the next division or the next round. And I have 2 young daughters, and not to get sentimental and too weird, but oh my God, like just to have my little daughter competing in that, you can just see the dads just like, and the parents just like, just wow.
Okay, Psycho Surf Dad coming up just around the corner. But Coco Ho,
100%.
we saw a crazy surf off happen.
Calling Michael Ho now to get advice.
He's crazy.
Hang off the Huntington Tinch beer and scream and pray and yell and all those things. No, just kidding.
How
of
do I
course.
get my daughter barreled a pipe? Coco, go.
We saw a tie break.
Block.
The judges are awfully critical of the men, and we try to obviously give a little bit of leeway to the Bottle Rockets and the Ladybirds, but sometimes you just can't split them. And here we saw the tie. And Coco, you did like this there.
I did. This was huge. It
Sorry, I
was
baited
solid.
you there. You like the other one.
I like this one more. I actually talked to Nate Fletch about it after, and he said we got a little overwhelmed with that heat one and went high off the start and then kind of tried to bring it down, and then we got a little confused on heat 2. So he admitted to it.
The backside
He also
3.
wasn't in the booth for the second heat.
Classic
so-
judge call. They always say, I wasn't in the booth for that
Yeah,
heat.
but he wasn't. I looked. It was Eric Geiselman that went a little loud and proud.
What's happening here, Coco?
I just backed this because this was her rebate wave. So yeah.
She had the same treatment as Matt
Incomplete.
Meola. Blindfolded, didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, but her air reverse, I'll give her all the kudos in the world because that was huge and very technical, and I couldn't do it.
And
so.
we saw both divisions with the surf-off take a different strategy. Matt won but went second. Ladybirds, Eden won but went first.
I actually talked to Eden about that.
What do you think about that?
I said, you could have chose first or second, and she was like, I know, but they kind of just told me I was first, and I was grateful because I think I would have got too nervous if I was second. So she was told by accident that she had to go right away, and it worked out to her advantage.
I like it.
Yeah.
Duma, what would you do?
I would have definitely gone second.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
same.
But
I'll go first.
She didn't really.
I'll go first every day of the week.
But to me, she didn't really deserve to be there. It should have been Yoshiki. Is
I
it
agree.
Yoshiki?
That's what I was saying.
That's
yeah.
right. Like her air was significantly better. And understand, like it's a long day of watching so many airs, and you're trying to see so many and trying to judge which ones are better than the last. And I understand how the judges get lost in it. But that backside rotation was better than the straightie.
So who's there? For that one, we pulled in Miller Brown for that surf-off. And then obviously
Yeah.
Nate Fletcher, Lee, Eric Geiselman, Parker.
But that was for the surf off. That one was very black and white. Yoshiki
That's
fell.
true.
That
That's
was
right. She
easy
did,
to call.
she
It
did
was for
fall.
that first heat that I'm like,
I love
Eric
that you're trying to
Geiselman.
barbecue them on the... Yes, that is correct.
You were
No,
a
we're
little
barbecuing.
loud.
Yes.
No, yeah.
If I'm Yoshiki's dad,
Yeah.
I'm
Barbecuing.
yelling at Nathan Fletcher right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
But
spanking
Nate
him.
wasn't in there for...
Of course. You've got to remember that.
Yeah.
I wasn't in the booth
Imagine
for that
going to
heat.
yell at Nate Fletcher.
Yeah, exactly. Nate's
I
thing-
tried.
Nate's whole thing has been like, well, I'm not calling scores. I'm not actually giving scores. I'm just influencing, right? So he's like throwing his hands up and saying, I have nothing to do with this. But
He was shocked on the day, though. Overall, he
Yeah.
was flabbergasted by the bottle rockets.
And I think the same sort of thing happened, honestly, with the first hit of the day. I think they were way too high. Like Huey Vaughan and Cam Richards and all these guys. Like amazing airs, don't get me wrong, but I really do think, like when you look at like Dane and Mikey and these other airs, I think the scale was like cramped in the plus 45s, but way too tight in 35 to 45. So that's fine. Day one, we'll get it out of the way. They're only human at the end of the day. And it's still just that numbers game is incredibly hard to work out. But I feel that being lower is safer and being harsher is better. And I really like Dion Aegis. I thought he was really sharp today. He was being a bit of an asshole, but I think that's better for what we're chasing here. So I think tonight there'll be some deep discussions. And I think tomorrow we'll see that scale drop.
Yeah. He also admitted to being flustered with the amount of makes in that first girls heat, but I'm excited that the winner of the Ladybirds is going to be in the final with the women.
That's amazing. And I think they're going to do damage. And the bottle rockets is the same. I just learnt that then.
no.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Lucas Cassidy, I would say, would have won last year the main division with those airs that he did. He put back-to-back 8 times was, okay, maybe more technical and more tweaked. But what Lucas Cassidy did last year, he could have competed in the main division, and so could have Raiji Masuda. So I honestly think that one of those bottle rockets...
It's going to be in the final.
I think Lokana Cullen is going to demo people
I agree.
if he wins.
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
No way.
I don't know
Yes.
where you were, my guy.
Yeah.
I saw
did you
that
miss
live.
that?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna take
That's
the
what
other
Air
side
won
of
the
this.
men's last year.
Yes, it did. It won the men's last year, but it's like when you watched. It's like watching an Aki Air versus like a Geordie and Dane Air in like the 2010s. bro.
Okay, well we're going
I
to
promise
see.
you, it's like
we're
a
going to
Grom
jump into
Air
Bottle Rock
versus a Man
Stalky
Air.
right now.
Okay.
Bottle Rock is presented by Yeti, and of course with the Open Women's Pro Women's presented by Sunbum. That winner is going to go through from the Ladybirds. It's the same here now with the men's. Machan, let's watch. Absolutely.
Let's see it,
Here we go.
brother.
Story
Okay.
number 4. This is the Bottle Rockets.
Okay, look at the dry hair. This kid's got the coolest hair on tour.
Presented by Yeti and presented by Boom Cruise Euros. That was a sick air. Raj Masuda, your guy from the booth.
Wow.
My brew from the boo. Look at that.
That
Straight.
was my pick, actually, to win, if you didn't read that article.
And he came in today as a wild card and got through. Obviously, Victor.
This was incredible. Here's our boy, Stace.
Mate.
Come on,
Hey,
Duma.
beautiful air, but a different section this year. That is easier to do this year than it was last year.
No one's really nailed it
But
this year.
look at that landing.
I think Cam Richards did it.
No, he didn't.
You made fun of Ian Crane's one.
He made fun of himself.
Yes, he did, but you made fun of him on the website.
You want me to compare that to Ian Crane's?
Yes.
I would welcome that.
One will look like a child's air, one will look like a man's air.
And the child flew through the air because he weighs 40 kilos.
Yes, he landed in the
And
flats.
landed bolts.
He landed in the flats, which most men couldn't do because he's got a special set of knees.
I know Crane has a
knees
special appendage as well, but that air was my brew.
I'm telling you.
But we had, I think,
these guys will get chowed in the main division.
I disagree.
I
the
do
bottle
too.
rockets were gnarly. So were the Ladybirds. We had an amazing day with the pro men's into the sudden death. I kind of, to be honest, was putting the feet up, going, "Oh, well done for the kids. We'll see how they go." They floored me.
Yeah,
that was
I
an
agree.
unbelievable afternoon, and all the mums and dads out there right now should be so proud. You got sentimental.
No,
Danny doesn't like it.
Once,
I'm getting
fool me
sentimental.
once,
That
shame
was
on me.
next
Fool
level.
me twice. How many times are these guys going to fool you? They keep doing this over and over. They keep blowing our heads off. They're incredible. The next generation, that's what we hear, right? And today was about, I was so worried that it would be the Dions and the Chippers and those guys in like the top of the rankings. And Mikey he's a free surfer doing the best surfing in the world. He could still go on tour and compete at the highest level, which is that's really awesome to see. But to see all the Groms coming up and taking space in that division, that's what this whole thing's about.
It isn't, but the fossils stood up today, man. I just love
Which
what I saw.
fossils?
Let's talk
fossils
about it now.
under 30.
Yeah, that's
We're on the
kind of
bottle rocket.
fossilized. So, did we see the Monster Air today?
Mikey Wright.
Yeah, Mikey Wright.
Best
And
air.
where do we think
what
it sits
about
in the history?
Arthur put on a crazy cool performance.
Oh, I've got to jump in the Lee Wilson camp here. You got to teach him young.
Oh, really?
No, that was amazing. It was amazing.
He's
but
so cute.
He is.
How
I
could
love.
you
I
not?
love them all. It's great. I'm lucky. I'm not judging. But if I was,
Okay,
I would
I get
be
it.
on the Lee Wilson program. But it's amazing, and the talent and the froth. And he reminds me, obviously, so much of Italo. Grew up with him. But as soon as he does the biggest air he's ever done, he goes out and does a snap and a
I
tube, and
know.
it just doesn't. The wave isn't over. And I actually do love that. Not just about Arthur, but of all the Brazilian
playing
boys.
ball on the
They
beach and
milk
ball.
every wave for what it's worth, and I love that edge and that froth, and yeah. But we saw some crazy airs today, and I'm curious to know where Mikey's air in particular, and Dane's and Julian's sit within the history of every monster air ever done. So that's something that I think we'll look to research.
The only Monster Air I remember is Mason's.
Yeah. That is
Little biased.
I've seen them all, but Mason's was awesome. To me, Mikey's was the best ever.
Let's check out the history of Monster Air. Let's settle it right here.
We got that?
All right.
Cokes, you ready?
Let's go.
Of
course you're ready.
I needed this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Let's spend.
Right now with me, Eitan Osborne, $20,000. That's got to be your biggest paycheck today.
Holy crap, I'm over the moon right now.
We do have the Butts of Big Eight champion right here. 20 grand for the highest bid.
This one goes to Nate.
And everybody gave me a standing applause or standing ovation, so it was insane. So it made my trip.
This is the Monster Air, and it was definitely voted from the surfers. There's a tie. It's Matt and Eitan.
We have decided that Sierra Kerr gets the Monster Award.
I can't explain it how humbled I am and thankful, because I've been dying to win a check over $5,000 for the last 3 years or something, and then I swear to do it in front of you, Nate.
Oh wow, that was special. They got me psyched to try commentary airs. That was next level.
All right, Sierra Kerr, she won it.
I think so too.
I like Sierra's.
Yeah,
I like
I think so too.
Mason's, obviously.
Yeah.
Nate's was insane. But you know what I noticed?
What?
Inflation.
Inflation. Oh shit, the price has gone up.
Down. It's
Today's
gone down.
price is not yesterday's price.
The
Should have been a
price
Bitcoin.
Mikey's Wright's air was better than all of those.
Should have been 10 grand a Bitcoin.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda. We didn't. But here
I
we
do
are.
like Sierra's air, and I do like Mikey Wright's air, and
Yeah,
I just
Mikey's
love Mason Ho full stop and everything he's about. So I can't argue with you there, Coco. We had a crazy day. It was awesome to spend time with you both. Thank you so much for your time, Coco. Thank you for the arguments. I treasure them dearly. I argue for
What
the
I'm
fun of
here
it.
for.
Thank you, Damien.
Can we get rid of him so we can just hang here and agree and just watch the highlights and have fun? Didn't have to have this Australian contrarian.
What kind of world is that? We got
Yeah,
finals
bro.
day coming up tomorrow. We're going to check out some preview action of what we got coming up. Check it out on Stat Premium. Thank you so much for tuning in to Poolside, hosted by Kona Big Wave. Thank you very much to Monster Energy, our presenting sponsor here at Stab High. Thank you so much, Yeti. Thank you, Sunbum. Tune in tomorrow on Stab Premium exclusively to catch Finals Day and exclusively to find out whether I will agree with Coco Ho and or Damien Farrenfort. Good night and thank you for tuning in.
Never. We'll see you tomorrow.